Hey everybody, it's Ron, and I'm back with another Swamp Thing review. So I'm going to be covering episodes 8, 9, and 10, so that's the end of the series. Okay, so episode 7 was a little weird. I don't know why, but Sutherland just bothers me at this point, to be honest. He's just a weirdo, and the performance is almost like a joke. He's wandering around in the woods by the swamp because Lucilia and Matt Cable tried to murder him. But he made it out alive, and the one thing I thought was kind of cool was when he was hallucinating, you see how his dad died. I don't know if those events are true, but it'd be cool if the Green got frustrated with him and just took him out. Abby goes back to Atlanta, and there was some shady stuff going on with her work, and her friend, wow, I'm blanking on the name. He was in the first couple episodes. He got infected with that virus. Anyway, Abby tells him about Alec, and he gets snatched up in a truck right after it. Everything's just falling apart in this episode. I like the scenes with the Swamp Thing and Sunderland when he saves him, and I like the Swamp Thing actor. He's pretty menacing. He ends up calling a boat for Sunderland and saves him, which was a bad idea because he brings people back to Swamp Thing, and they basically freeze him and bring him to a lab. So this is all setting up for episode 9, and it's titled The Anatomy Lesson, which is also the name of that famous Alan Moore Swamp Thing issue. And that got me excited because I know Jason Woodrue was going to do an autopsy on him, and we would finally find out which direction this show was going in. So yeah, big spoilers here. Turns out that Swamp Thing is indeed just a creature made from the Green and only has the memories of Alec Holland, just like in the comic. We also finally got a Blue Devil scene, and to be honest, I was a little disappointed. It was kind of weird. I just found that the way they filmed that scene, I just found it to be strange, and it had too much shaky cam. It was almost like they were afraid to show his appearance because they weren't proud of it or something, but I don't know. I don't know what they were trying to go for with that. Phantom Stranger also makes an appearance and actually had the hat on for a second, so that was cool. Sunderland gets back at Maria and he sends her into a psych ward. And yeah, I don't know, this is all bittersweet because if they can make a satisfying last episode and create some sort of intrigue for future stories, it'd be a pretty solid season of a continuing series. But we all know it's not going to continue, so we'll see if this whole thing was a waste of time or not. With only one episode left, I will say that I was slightly disappointing with the Swamp Thing screen time in this whole show. He definitely is a side character in his own show, and I felt like he could have done more, because I thought the costume and performance was pretty great for the most part. Alright, so I just watched the final episode of Swamp Thing, and the time has come. It's over, and it's also canceled, so we have no idea what the future holds, but I am happy to say that this last episode wasn't a complete mess, and it wrapped up things as much as it possibly could. It's been pretty cool covering this show, and I don't think many people watched it or my videos, but it was still fun. Okay, so the title of the episode is Loose Ends, which I believe is the name of the first issue of Alan Moore's run, where he ties up all the loose ends of the previous issues, where the military is on Swamp Thing's tail, and that was definitely depicted in this episode. That was also the best part of this episode, because we finally got to see Swamp Thing go all out. I liked when he went into fighting mode and he grew these cool shoulder pads to make himself look more menacing, and there was some great violence in those scenes as well. Meanwhile, Jason Woodrue is experimenting with the Swamp Thing's organs on his wife to try and cure her, but he's interrupted by Abby right after he eats part of Swamp Thing's organs. This was exciting because it was finally getting closer to him becoming the Floronic Man, and I'll get into that in a second. So I guess Lucilia is dead since Sunderland straight up stabs her and then puts her in a trunk and puts her in the car, and drives it into the water. That scene freaked me out because I'm really claustrophobic, so that part was hard to watch. What a terrible, terrible way to die. I guess Maria stays in that psych ward, but we get a return of Xanadu, and she sort of puts her at peace seeing her daughter again, or at least a hallucination of her or something. Blue Devil gets a nice little send-off and finally gets to leave that area that he was trapped in, so that was pretty cool as well. This is definitely bittersweet because Swamp Thing finally finds some sort of purpose in the last episode, and we don't know if we'll ever see this show again, so that's a bummer. If that is true and it's gone forever, it wasn't bad that we got a nice scene with Abby and Swamp Thing saying that they'll work together to fight against the darkness. So I guess we'll just have to imagine their adventures. So they did also do a post-credit scene with Matt Cable discovering Woodrue as the Floronic Man, finally, and I thought that costume looked really great. It was really creepy, and I'm assuming he kills Matt too, so that's both Cables are dead in this last episode. This is also a bummer because Floronic Man would have been a cool villain for the Swamp Thing in Season 2, and they also could have brought in Anton Arcane as well. At least we got to see him transform, even if it was only for like a minute. So overall, I did enjoy the series, but I think it was a little uneven because of the drama going on behind the scenes. It was supposed to have 13 episodes, and then it got cut to 10, and then they had to just wrap it up, so I don't know what was really changed. It started out really strong, and then the weaker parts were definitely mid-season, but I think it ended pretty strong, so I'm happy that they didn't totally ruin Swamp Thing. I think my main complaint is that I wish he was in it more, and it didn't turn into the Abby show most of the time, but what can you do? They probably would have fleshed everything out more if they had a season 2. So we'll see what happens. Maybe they can have Swamp Thing do cameo appearances in the other DC shows that came out. I'd be cool with that, so we'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys think about this show, and be sure to subscribe if you're liking the content. Thanks for watching.